Hi there, Dave Douglas with Music for Praise. We're back with another lesson on the circle of fifths. So in previous videos, we looked at the major keys, we looked at minor keys, we looked at sister chords, cousin chords. We used 2-5-1 transitions, which is a minor chord to, in the key of C, that would be a D minor, and then we go to a G major, which would be the 5, and then we'd go to C, which is tonic, the main chord of the key that you're in at the moment. We were always talking in C because it's so easy to see on the keyboard because it's all the white notes. So now we're going to look at expanding that thought of chord flows, how to move around in the circle a little more comfortably. Now we're going to look at that in terms of changing the relationship. Now, realize that in any key, a 5 is a 5, no matter what, because all the keys are mathematically relational. So everything's the same, no matter what note you're trying to start on. So this relationship, we talked about a major step and a major step and a half step, major, 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 half, okay? So we've got a 1, a 2, and a half, and then we had a 1, 2, 3 whole steps, and then a half. So that's the major chord. So it doesn't matter what you start on. You've got 1, 2, and a half, 1, 2, 3, and a half. So that would be an A major chord. Not too bad to understand that. And any key you start on, that same relationship mathematically stays the same. So chords play a major role in any piece of music. And think of the chord structure of a song as your spine or your backbone. The chord structure of a song is that. It's like your vertebrae, is put together one on top of another. That's kind of the way you're going to write music. You're going to learn how to arrange and write this spine and structure that takes place to create a song. Now, while they support the music, they can change and they can move around the circle rather fluidly. While I stated my love for the 2-5 feel, which I use a lot, and most people do, it can be fun and creative to change the chord flow. Sometimes you might like to change the 2 into a major chord. So instead of doing a D minor to a 5 to a 1, do a D major. Different feel, right? D major, then, if you take a look at this, and don't get confused between me talking about chord structures versus key signatures. We're not talking key changes here. We're talking the relationship of notes to each other. And in G, if we're talking about the G chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 of G is D major. So we notate that as a 5 of 5. Okay, am I blowing your mind? I hope not. So this is 5 of C, but then D is actually 5 of G. And if we make that a major chord, so we're playing in C, given a whole different feel. Now, feel is what you're aiming for, right? Anytime you arrange a song or write a song, you're looking for a certain feel. What I'm going to encourage you to try to do is invent. Go outside of the box, but stay in the circle. Okay? You say, how do I do that? Well, instead of just playing 2-5-1s, 5, 1, try playing a 6. 6 would be A minor. 2, 5, 5, 1. Okay, that's a nice flow. 6, 2, 5, 1. But now let's take 6 and make it a major chord. So 1, 2, do, 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 do. Ooh. So now you've got a 6 as a major chord, which is the 5 of 2. So keep that relationship going. Everything is a 5 of something. So that's a 5 of 2. You call it a 5 because it's major. And then we went to the minor 7th, D minor, and then we went to the G as a 5, and then to the 1. So maybe you want to make them all major. Whoa, okay, so those were all majors. A major, D major, G major, C. But we stayed in the circle. A to D to G to C. We did 6, 2, 5, 1, but we made them all major. And there's other ways to notate that. So I'm trying to get you to expand your thought process, move things around a little bit. Let's see if I can get my keyboard straightened out. It's a little better. So we expand that flow, and like the last suggestion, we've changed our feeling. What kind of feeling do you want? I wrote a song years ago that was My Savior Cares, and then I've got the whole choruses in minors. Major, major, minor. Okay, so I wrote that in the key of G minor, actually, and the chorus goes to C minors. But I wanted to create a feel. I wanted to create a more of a love story type feel. You know, you've got, and that's the feel of that song. So I want to get you to think outside those boxes. If you're playing in C and you don't throw any accidentals in, then you're not thinking too far out of the box. So if you're always using 2-5-1 or 6-2-5-1, you're not thinking outside the box. But if you throw in an accidental, okay. Now, I'll get you to even think a little crazier because, we're going to keep these short, but you need to think of how you can go around the circle, the whole circle, by playing 2-5-1s or just 5-1s or however you want to do it. So start with C. Then you go to 5. D. Now A. E. B. Ooh. F sharp. Where do we go from there? I'm asking. You're going to go to D flat or C sharp. And then we're going to come back around to A flat, E flat, B flat. Guess what? We're back to C. There's a lot of different ways to do that. I just use major chords going from 5s to 1s. You don't need to do it that way. You can do it by using 2-5-1s or anyway. I'm going to get you to play around with that before the next lesson. And you kind of figure out, using sister and cousin chords, how can you move all the way around the circle and make it feel like you never moved. That's the key to making good chord progressions. You can do chord progressions all the way around the circle. And next time we'll get back to that. So this lesson's over. I want you to start thinking outside the box, but staying within the structure of the backbone of the music. And the backbone is, of course, the circle itself. So this is Dave Douglas with Music for Praise. Go over there and over there and like us, or wherever it is on your page. I don't know where they are. Subscribe, like, comment. Are you enjoying these? Are you getting something out of them, or am I just sitting here babbling into a microphone? And Music for Praise. Look us up on YouTube. It's YouTube/@ Music for Praise, all squished together and spelled together. So YouTube/@ Music for Praise. You'll find our page with all of these on it. My dog wants to bark at our neighbors, of course. Every time they get in the car and go somewhere, he just barks out the window. I don't know. Bye. See you later.